All praises to Yahawah, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect to the nation of Israel. And this is going to be a video on how all of these Jakes in the world really wish that they had the knowledge of the scriptures, man. And I heard one of the apostles say this, right? And I've been thinking about it just a little bit, like within the last maybe 5-10 minutes. I've been thinking about that, and I started thinking about all the Jakes in the world and all these different people, and how no matter what, they all still like to try and mention the scriptures, man. Right, all of them like to still try and mention the scriptures, and these will be guys that are millionaires now. Which, being a millionaire, it is better to be a millionaire, obviously, than to be in the financial situation that most believers of Yahawah B'Shem Yahweh Shai have found themselves in, which is not a millionaire, obviously, because, and I'm going to go into the scriptures as to why that would happen anyway, right? But it's better to obviously be a millionaire, if we could choose to be a millionaire and still have exactly the same level of faith and diligence to the Lord. Obviously, that would be more better than to not, but it don't go that way, right? It don't go that way. It goes the way Yahweh wants it to be. Some brothers are going to have more money, some are going to have less. But let me get this. Ecclesiastes chapter 2 and verse 1, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. Right? So the people that are actually really serving the Lord, their soul's going to go through temptation, their flesh, their body's going to go through temptation. That's going to lead to their life being hard, right? And to the outside world, if they see that person doesn't have, maybe for a time, a job, if that person has health problems for a time, if that person doesn't have a woman for a time, if that person even ended up homeless for a time, if that person seems like they're like damn near straight jacket worthy, if that person finds themselves in a bad situation with the law, people are gonna be like, oh, see, they're just troublemakers. They just can't get right. They always need to do something. Most people are not gonna consider that stuff's happening because that person believes in the Lord, right? They ain't gonna believe that, and if the person says that to them, they'll be like, nah, you're just making excuses. You can't just throw everything on the Lord all the time. But that's exactly what you are supposed to do. You are supposed to acknowledge that everything's happening because of the Lord. That's what Job did. He said, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Right? That's what happens, man. Yahawah B'Shem Yahweh Shai gives and he takes away. Right? He gives us for a time and he takes away from us for a time. Right? Now, let me go to this, because all Jakes in the world really, they end up talking about the scriptures, man. And you had this, and this isn't even no diss on this guy, but you had this guy, Satan the sinner, right? That he even ended up bringing a Hebrew Israelite on his podcast, right? On his show, and they all have to want to talk about this, man. Like, people for the longest time tried to put the hard work that even the apostles of Great Millstones, elders, and their teachers taught them. They try to put that at the back, but oh, that's just some crazy street activist stuff. Oh, that's just some street stuff. Oh, that's just on the street level outside in the world. But a whole bunch of people have came by and wanted to get talking about this, man. News anchors, newscast presenters, and they try and fake like there wasn't. You had this guy that now was fired. I think he was fired from Fox News. T. Carlson. I'll just say it like that, right? And he came up there, right? He came up there and then was like, what? Like, was all flabbergasted. He was flabbergasted, standing there with his mouth open and that, right? And then he's now ended up having to talk about it even more, and he even spoke about it on other times, man, and had to mention that in public on his news show and that. He couldn't help himself, right? Because once some people hear this, right, and they think, oh, what the hell is this? But other people hear it and they're like, yo, nah, I hope they're like, yo, I hope this ain't true. Other people hear it and they're like, yeah, what? This brings everything together that I've ever believed in my life and makes it be true. And others are like, man, yeah, this is true. But you know what? Like, I kind of gotta get mines first, and then it can be true. You know, that's what some people think. Yeah, this is true, but yeah, this don't really sound like it's gonna get me a fat pocket though. So you know what? Yeah, it can be true, but I gotta get mines first, and then it can be true afterwards. Other people think, man, there's gotta be a portion of this thing that I can kind of extort and get a bag, and they find the woman part that gets talked about, man. The Hebrew Israelites go in on women, man, in the right way according to the Spirit of the Lord, man, and tell them about themselves and make them know that their number two stinks like the rest of us, to be honest with you. And they don't put no women on no pedestal, and they tell them about themselves, man, and they tell them exactly what the future beholds for them. And we're starting to see small signs of it right now. Men don't want to date. A lot of you women, men do not want to date you, because the way how you think that the world's supposed to go and how it's actually supposed to go are two completely different things. This world has actually just made women think that they are some stars under the heavens, and not, you're really not. But it's told women that there's some stars under the heavens and that they're supposed to be able to go and make as much money as they want to make. And the man that they end up being within a relationship, they shouldn't have to use none of that money on him, because he should already be ready and waiting to take on all of their financial burdens. But the woman can boast about how much she makes, right? But then when she gets in the relationship with the guy, he shouldn't expect her to have had any money saved up so that they can use to build up their family, anything for financially. He shouldn't expect nothing. He should just be happy to be with a strong, independent queen that don't need no man. But just because she don't need that man, that don't mean that that man isn't expected to pay every single thing in her life and have the honor of paying all of her bills, as if that's some kind of good thing for a man to want to do. What's so special about a man having the honor to pay all of a woman's life when she was boasting about how she don't want to go this at 50% or this percent or that percent with any man? But now a man is supposed to be honored to pay for a non-virgin's bills for the rest of his life. These times, all the other previous men that she was lost their virginity to and was given her body to, they wasn't having to do none of the things that she's expecting the last guy to have to do. And if you let women have the world their way, that's what they'd be doing. They'd have tried and dabbled with every other man that they think, oh, he's not 100% what I want, but he really shines in this area. So okay, he's not the most handsome fella, but he's mighty tall. Oh, he's not the most handsome fella, but man, he was a crazy DJ, and he just was playing all my favorite songs when we was in that nightclub, and it was like we was in sync. Like, I couldn't believe he played all my favorite songs when we was at that nightclub. So I just had to give him some. Oh, he was not, you know what I mean? This world's ridiculous. But if you let the women have it their way, they'd do all that. And then they'd settle down with a millionaire that just was waiting to pay for all of their bills and make them go on every single holiday they want to go to. Have unlimited access to his money. And they could just sit down and go to spas on a week. Avocado on toast and a cafe latte. You know what I mean? Go yoga. And he's just so honored to keep paying everything in her life. You know, that's what they think it's supposed to be. Nah, fam. That's never what it's going to be out here. Never in your life. Hebrews chapter 4 and verse 12, for the word of Yahawah is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to dividing asunder of soul and spirit and of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. And that's why this word even exposes these so-called sisters out there, man. Or you so-called sisters out there, you Shalawam Yisrael, and it expose that y'all ain't really on no Shalawam Yisrael, man. You ain't on no Shalawam Israel. Y'all are on some, I want to be a strong queen. And I'm hoping that this Bible thing, they're hoping that this doctrine's got some simps in there that's going to pave my way through the world. Because now that I'm starting to realize that to sustain yourself, just yourself, is a lot harder than I thought. Yeah. I'm starting to think, you know what? Maybe maybe I'll let a man, maybe I'll let a man lead. That's what they think. I'm letting him lead me. I could lead myself, but I'm gonna be the stronger individual, and I'm gonna let him lead, which really means she's gonna let him have the honor of paying all of her life. But she could do it herself, because she's a strong, independent queen. But she's gonna let him do it, like that's some kind of honor. Do you know what I mean? Like that's an honor for a man to do for a woman that's a virgin, mate. That no other man's been able to kiss, hold her hand, even smile up in her face too much. Even no other man's even been able to tell her no jokes, and she laughed, and he got to see her teeth and her smile and be like, "Oh wow, she's really got quite a nice smile on her." Men don't even really want no other men to be doing that to their woman, if we're being real about it. But women will say, "Oh, that man's controlling." Yeah, okay, whatever shame word you want to say, man. And these are some of the talking points that I'm saying. These are some of the talking points that some of these red pill guys will hear a Hebrew Israelite say, and they'll be like, "Yeah, wow, yeah, that's true. I might use that on my next podcast show. I might use that." Because when I was watching this guy, this Marquette guy, man, when he was talking to that Hebrew Israelite, right, it was kind of interesting to watch, man, because it's like something was jumping on him, man. Like the spirit was almost jumping on him, and then was like, "Nah, actually, let me get off this guy." Right? Because he was like, he'd go in and out of calling so-called white people Edomites, man, and and it's like he liked talking about it, but then he was like, "Yeah, let me chill out, man. I don't want to say I don't want to say too much, you know what I mean?" But he liked the sound of calling Esau. He actually liked it, you know what I mean? Because everyone knows that they're Edomites, man. They are. They are the Edomites, bro. They just are the Edomites. Like if anyone doesn't want to, and the thing is, some of you Christians, you so-called black Christians out there, you're some of the most lost individuals I've ever seen in my life, because you want to say, "Oh, it doesn't even matter if we're the Israelites," and then you're even give the some of you will even say, "Oh, and even if they are the Edomites, well, you still shouldn't abhor them, mate." What are you talking about? If they are the Edomites, do you actually know what that means, mate? Which they are the Edomites, but them being the Edomites is a big deal. It's huge, because that means all the stuff that they're saying, if they're the Edomites and we're the Israelites, all that stuff about us being black is the reason why they did this, and us swinging trees in Africa and all that, that they were lying about that, and that they knew exactly the reason why they put us in slavery was because we're the Israelites, and they hate Esau has had a perpetual hatred for Jacob. Everyone always tries to put it on us to be the forgiving. Oh, if you don't ever forgive me, how, mate? Y'all are always doing the madness, man. America right now, they're on a real heavy push to buy Greenland, and when you look up why, like them actually getting like overall control over Greenland is a huge deal, man. It allows them very close access to all of their allies and their enemies in Europe, man. It allows them it allows the U the UK, the United Kingdom, to be like less than 2,000 miles away. If there was to set up weapons over there, man, the ICBMs, That's like 2,000 miles away only, which in terms of them kind of warfare, that's very close, right? And it allows them to be close to it allows them the shortest point if there was to get into anything with Russia as well, man. It's a big, huge deal. It allows them to have very close access or close access with their ICBMs to all the other countries in Europe as well. It's a big deal, man. That's actually a big move, man. And if you look on a map and you actually see Greenland's location, you'll be like, yep, you know what I mean? Just like how when I remember before I knew that much about it, like I used to look on a map and be like, well, and see Alaska, and Alaska's like location in reference to America. I mean, no, Alaska's location in reference to Russia, and then I find out that Russia used to own Alaska, and you'd think, man, Alaska would have allowed Russia a heavy access to attack America because it's part of it right now. It's like the lands are attached, but then they sold it to America in 1867, I believe, for like seven point. Well, I think the number that I've kept seeing is 7.2 million, which is around about in today's money. I think it was 130 million for the 2023 value, and that would have allowed them to have a heavy access to attack America. But they sold that like 150 years ago, give or take now. But then now America wants Greenland for that same purpose. You see what I mean? Plus, it has Alaska. That could also, if there was, I don't know whether it's possible to set up that kind of weaponry over there. Because I know it's a very cold place, but so is Greenland. You see, but they've took away Russia's one of Russia's abilities, but then now they're trying to get another ability by getting Greenland, and it's a very big deal, man. I don't know 100% the ins and outs of it, but when you just look it up and if you just look up Greenland on the map, you'll be like, yep, you can see why they want that place. You can see why. And then back to this. Hebrews chapter 4 and verse 12, for the word of Yahawah is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit and of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. It reveals your mind, man. It reveals your mind. When you start reading the scriptures to somebody, it reveals your mind. It reveals their mind. It lets you know how much they're really prepared to talk about the scriptures. Or you say you believe in the scriptures, how much do you believe in the scriptures though? How deep are you really prepared to get into the scriptures, man? How deep are you really prepared to get into that? Do you really believe it? Or are you just saying that? That's what the word of the Lord does. It really exposes the truth of how much people say that they believe in the Bible, man, and it exposes you Edomites that you don't really believe none of it. That's the main person it exposes, the man of sin. Esau literally is against every single righteous concept of the Bible. He's for adultery when the Bible says don't be for it. He's for stealing when the Bible says don't do it. He's for coveting when it says don't do it. But yet he's one of the main ones that tries to say that he's a Christian. But they're also the ones that allowed Yahawah to be killed, man. They want to try and say, oh, the Israelites this and the Israelites that. The Israelites were prophesied to betray the Lord. You Edomites actually killed him, though. It was an Edomite that sanctioned Yahawah's death. And even he can have tried to wash his hands and say, I'm guiltless of this and I'm guiltless of that, mate, he's still going to pay for that too. Because he's an Edomite. Let me go to this. Because people want to try and, men want to try and like, in the world, Jakes and that, they have conquered the world, they think, right? Oh, I'm a 6 foot plus. I'm rich. I'm this, I'm that. But now that they've got there, something's still missing in their lives, and they kind of don't know what it is. And then when they hear the doctrine of the Hebrew Israelites, they're like, "Raw, that thing's still going." Because I heard about that before, and I've now reached what I wanted to reach, and that thing's still going. I thought it would have been ended by now, and then they'll see people be amazed by it, because it is a heavy thing to be given. It's a heavy thing to know. It's a heavy thing to know, man. To know the things in the Bible is a heavy thing to know, and not everybody can receive this, man. It's the only way to actually understand this doctrine is by Yahawah giving it to you, right? But some people try and put it onto themselves, and they want to try and talk about it and get deep, and then the world will turn against them for a time, and they can't handle it, man. That's what happened to Kyrie Irving. That's what happened to Kanye West. That's what happened to Nick Cannon. That's what happened to Kodak Black. Kodak Black's bogged out these days, man. But he wanted to try and come out and talk about Israelites, and look at him now. He's bogged out. And it doesn't even matter whether they was told to come out and do it by some handler or something like that, or whether they really did it genuine. It's a heavy thing to talk about, man. And the more they're in the world, their voice is going to be heard sooner, a lot quicker. But they think they want to know about it, and they want to speak about it, man. But then when they get tested and they're not ready for it. 1 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 25, because the fullness is of God. And that's why if Yahawah puts you even in a low position to where you ain't even got that many people that hear you and all that, that's for your own, to a certain degree, for your own benefit, man. Because the more you're out there, the greater spirits are going to bother you as well, man. And people might think that they're prepared to see or hear something or whatever. No, you're not prepared to, man. Because if you was prepared to, it would have happened. You don't want you don't want to have to try and, everyone wants to try and think they could just handle. Oh, I could have handled what happened to Yahawah in Matthew 4 as well. No, you couldn't have, man. If any of us would have saw that happen and had Satan himself come up and try and trouble us, we would have bugged out, man. You can't handle that. But then what? Somebody that's been heavier in the truth longer than you's gone through, you don't want to go through what they've went through, man. Because every single man's trial is different anyway. A man that can handle a trial in his health probably might not be able to handle a trial in finance. A man that can handle a trial with women might not be able to handle a trial in being jobless or something like that. A man that can handle a trial in being jobless might not be able to handle a trial with women. And some men, Yahawah might have made go through every single possible trial that there is. And how many can handle that? Not many, just a few. 1 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 25, because the foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men. For you see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise after the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called. And that's why some people that are mighty are wise after the flesh, right? And are noble. They'll hear this doctrine and they'll be like, man, see, I like what, but they need me to say it, man. They'll think, oh, if I say it, then yeah, it's really gonna get moving and shaking, man. And they'll think, oh, if I put it on my, like, that's what Kanye West was doing, man. When Kanye West started talking about it, he was very arrogant, and he was thinking that by him talking about it, like the heaven was gonna open up and Yahawah Shai was gonna come back from him talking. That's what he thought, man. And then he wasn't even talking it right. I've saw a video where he was talking with Whack 100 and Captain Tazariak. I saw that thing on like a clubhouse call or whatever it is. I saw that. But he thought that him speaking about it was gonna somehow be greater than the people that have already started speaking about it, man. Because in his arrogance, he thinks that he's really better than the men that Yahawah gave the word to. But he's not, though, because he's not talking about it no more, is he? You don't hear him speak about it no more. Now, whether he does that in his private life or not, that's another story. But he don't speak about it no more, though. For you see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise after the flesh, Not many mighty, not many noble are called, but God have chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, right? But people in the world, Jakes in the world that have now reached all the things that they was hoping to achieve in the world and greater, they're kind of still looking and like, man, yeah, but you know what though? Like, I think that there's still a bit more that I'm lacking because I'm rich now and I can get the women that I want to get, but these women ain't shit anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like to be a millionaire, having access to all these women, even the ones that are hot, like okay, it's better than not having access to them, isn't it? Of course, but like the majority of women in this world are not a woman that's anything righteous anyway. Not anymore. Like, and I wonder how many of these high value men have even been with a virgin. So they've tried to reach the top pinnacle and the 1% of men. But are they getting the 1% women? Maybe looks wise, but are they really getting the 1% women actually though? The women that would be virgins when they meet them, that are gonna be an amazing wife to that man and not try and rinse it out his pockets, no. Because them men was only able to get riches and all that stuff and was able to become the so-called high value man, 1% man in Babylon the Great, which is the worst place on earth. So if they was to get their wife anyway, they'd have to in order to keep the riches that they've chased, they'd have to bring their wife, even if they met their wife some other country, they'd have to bring their wife to Babylon the Great. And Babylon the Great is going to corrupt that once beautiful and innocent wife's mind, and then she'll end up being against her. So you can't even get access to the best things if you're a Jake in this world properly anyway. Not properly. You can't get it the proper. You can get it some form of it, but it's still not the proper way. And that's why when some of these Jakes in the world, they hear about the doctrine of the Hebrew Israelites and they kind of see their wealth and they're like, man, okay, let me try and see if I can get a portion of what these men are talking about through my wealth that I've obtained now. And they realize they can't really get it, man. So they might be able to get them what's the word, man? A roster, a roster and that. You know what I mean? Where they rotate a rotation and that. Yeah, they might be able to get a rotation, a roster, a little haram and that harem, whatever the word is, man. Salakia, a harem of women. But it's not the same though, because if any moment them women decide to bug out and lie about something that you did, well, it could be game over, man. Because the law of this world ain't even going to be on your side for even having multiple women anyway. It's going to be against you. But the world wouldn't have much problem with a man having multiple men though. It wouldn't have much problem with that. But like, oh yeah, that's just love. Love is love. Love is love. Love is love. Everything's everything. Everyone's everything. But a man having multiple wives, oh man, you're basically the German man with the funny mustache. In this world's eyes, if you've got multiple wives, it's no one's business if you're alphabet and a rainbow. But it's for some reason everyone's business if a man's got multiple wives, not multiple women that he's sleeping around with, multiple wives. And the multiple wives thing is gonna keep getting mentioned until us Israelite men are allowed to do that with freedom, man. And no one will be trying to bother us, man. That's what's gonna keep happening. Because in our kingdom, we're gonna be able to do that, man. No one's gonna be able to tell us nothing, neither. Not even our own women are gonna be able to tell us anything, neither. And they're not gonna. And the thing is, that's gonna be so beautiful about the kingdom is they're not gonna want to. That's the thing about it. An Israelite man might go on a long journey exploring the world, and he might come back to find out that his wife has auditioned him new wives. You know what I mean? Imagine that. Whereas in this world, if a man goes on a long expedition exploring the world, he's gonna come back with his woman on her damn hip and have gone through his phone, gone through his letters, ransacking through all of his things because she had too much damn spare time on her hands, man. That's the kind of things that will happen in this world if a real wealthy man and she'll have damn went through his banking passwords and transferred some money over, set up a little small business and little withdrawals that go into her bank account every single week in the hopes for a little security package just in case things don't go right. Verse 28, and the basement of the world and the thing which are despised hath Yahawah chosen, yea, and thing which are not to bring to naught things that are. And that's why some of these men, when they hear the doctrine of the Hebrew Israelites, some of these jakes in the world that have reached the greatness of what this world says, man, when they hear the doctrine of the Israelites, it cuts them a bit, man. They get cut to the heart, right? And it bonds out their life that they've achieved. So then they think, man, well, if I start talking about it a bit, then that means that I'm like equal. But no, you're not though. Because this is something that you can't make yourself have. To be rich in the world, like you can be rich in the world many different ways, man. There's many different ways to become rich. Some of them are would be legal according to the world's eyes, and some of them aren't illegal. But then some of the things, the methods that this world once said was illegal, they then chop and change and make them legal whenever they want to. You know what I mean? So the world ways of this world are not really clear. But in the laws of Yahawah, everything's clear. You can't do this, no matter who. I don't care whether you're the king or whether you're a peasant. You can't do this, and you can do that. It's clear in the laws of Yahawah, but in this world, it's not really clear because they say, "Oh, you can't do this," but then when some people do a certain thing, nothing happens to them. But then when somebody else does that same thing, oh, now he's got to go to jail, right? But then two people can do the same crime and one person gets a certain amount of time and another person gets another amount of time. The times aren't even equal. So this world's not balanced and fair, even in judgment, man. But judgment, according to the laws of Yahawah, is anyone that does this crime, anyone that breaks this law, this is the judgment that's supposed to happen. Now, does Yahawah step in on certain occasions himself and have mercy on certain men? Yes, because King David committed adultery. And the judgment for that is supposed to be death. He did not make that be his judgment, though. Whereas Saul rebelled against the Lord by not killing every single Edomite when he was supposed to, not destroying all of Amalek when he was supposed to, right? And he ended up getting removed, losing his kingdom because of that. It took time for it to be actually physically manifest, but that's what caused him to lose the kingdom, right? That's what caused him to lose the kingdom, was that he didn't get rid of all of Amalek, which, like, had he have did that, we wouldn't be having to deal with him now, to be honest with you. But that was for prophecy's sake, why he actually didn't destroy him anyway. And it was for prophecy's sake why Judah ended up becoming the top of Israel anyway. Because it was written in Genesis that was going to happen anyway, that Judah was going to be the top. Verse 29, I mean, that no flesh should glory in his presence. Because imagine a man in the world, right, millionaire and good and going to be able to set and you can just start to set up companies now, right? Got the glasses, got the hat, got the cap, got the beard the way that they want it. You know what I mean? Got the fragrances on, but then they also got the 100% truth of the doctrine of the Bible as well, and can just break down every single scripture and every single precept, right? Mate, that person's gonna think that they're gonna get gassed up, man. Plus, people in the world are gonna try and fake believe in the doctrine because they want some of that money, and because they want some of them honeys that man's able to find himself access to because of the money, right? Money, right, makes a lot of people start being fake, man. Even the appearance of money makes people be fake. Buy some clothes on sale, yeah. Buy some clothes on sale that you normally would not be able to afford if you bought them for their original price, and put those clothes on. Buy a piece of jewelry, a chain, a nice watch, a ring that was on sale that you normally would not be able to afford, and go outside in public and see how people start treating you. I heard one of the apostles say recently, or if I was to wear a suit and go outside, people would start treating me way different, and that's facts. If you go outside in a suit right? Not even with a tie. You don't even need the tie. But if you go outside in a suit, people treat you different. I remember one guy I used to know, man. There was they looked like an Ishmaelite, but I think there was a Jake. And I remember he said that there was one woman around his neighborhood that he kind of liked, right? And he actually went out of his way. I don't know why the hell he did this, but he told me that he actually went out of his way. I guess he was doing an experiment, but he went he went out of his way to buy a suit, and he bought a briefcase as well. He bought a suit and he bought a briefcase, and he just went outside and made her see him with the suit and the briefcase walking somewhere, and he weren't even walking nowhere in particular, and went in his car, whatever, and then drove off. And he said that she she was all on him. She was all on him, man, because she thought that he had the suit and briefcase job. Oh wow, you got a new job, blah blah blah. And she was all on him because women are like that, man. Fake. I remember one time in a different area that I used to live in before where I live now, and the parking around there was mad. And I used back when I was like I had this certain car and that, which was nothing special by the way at all, but it was a car, and there was a BMW also near where I parked my car, and I was walking to my car, but it looked like I was walking to the BMW, and there's some woman around the area. She was all looking like trying to look at me all starry-eyed because she thought I was walking to the BMW. But then when she seen what I was actually walking to, then she weren't starry-eyed no more. So that's proof that she wasn't looking at me starry-eyed because she thought I was particularly handsome, or because she thought I was particularly anything special in this world. She was walking, looking at me starry-eyed because she thought I had a BMW. A nice one too. That's why she was looking like that. Because this world's fake, man. Right? It's not real, bro. This world is not real. Verse 29, that no flesh should glory in his presence. Yahawah gave the word, the true things that are actually valuable to speak about in this world. He's gave them to the people that nobody thinks of anything special of. Because if he gave it to the people that people do expect things from, then they'd get gassed up, man. And that's why the scriptures tells us this. Jeremiah chapter 9 and verse 23. Thus saith Yahawah, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom, neither let the mighty man glory in his might, let not the rich man glory in his riches. So is there anything we can glory in? Yeah, there is. Verse 24. But let him that glorieth glory in this, that he understandeth and knoweth me. And that's why these jakes in the world, they kind of, within their spirit, man, they know that there's something about this. They know there's something about this. They really know that we're the Israelites. They know it, man. They just kind of, there's something about it that's, they're like, man, yeah, but you know what I mean? But they know that it's true, like, because these guys in the world, remember, they'll have been around certain people and kind of can test the waters and can kind of ask certain questions. If they end up around a small hat for a business deal or something like that, they can kind of ask, oh yeah, oh yeah, you're a small hat based on your it's based on a mother, right? Does it mention that in the Torah? Because I kind of read the Bible a bit. Does it mention it in the Torah? Oh no, this is a oral tradition. Yeah, right. No, it ain't, man. You chatting at you know what I mean? But that's how a small hat will try and come by. This is excuse my bad acting skills. This is oral tradition. No, it ain't, fam. You're lying, bro. Why you lying for? You know, oral tradition. The only oral tradition that you small hats have got is that metazitza bepe, which is off, by the way. That moil thing, you got the moil, and they do a metazitza bepe. That's part of your oral traditions, you tramps. Amalek, mate. That's who you are. That's what we're gonna keep saying, right? Until you show some proof otherwise. So if we have to prove that we are,
so do you. You don't just get to try and claim you're an Israelite and don't have to match, like, man, they can claim they're an Israelite and don't have to match no prophecies. You know what I mean? They don't have to match no prophecy. They don't even have to believe that Yahawah came already to the earth the first go round. They're still waiting on him to come the first time. How much behind schedule are they? They're 2,000 years behind schedule. They're literally 2,000 years behind schedule. The way that if we're to believe it, the way that they're saying, mate, the kingdom of heaven's still a good 2,000 years away. We still have to wait for Yahawah to be sacrificed first off. Then we'd have to wait another 2,000 years if we were to believe it their way. Where's the Messiah? Where's the Messiah? Small hat, Mr. Small Hat. He's yeah, right. You're a damn liar. You're a damn liar, mate. We're still waiting for him by the Wailing Wall. Yeah, right, bruv. You're a damn liar, mate. Absolute cap. But if you let them try and tell us what's going on, everything's oral tradition. And well, it's in one of our private books. Yeah, right, bruv. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Pull the other leg, mate. You damn cap. Everything's been and they'll also say, oh, but that's in English. I read it in a Hebrew. Yeah, okay. And you can't speak English now, but you're the chosen. Yeah, all right. Come on, man. The most spoken language in the world. All y'all chosen man. None of y'all can speak it. Yeah, right. Come on. Let's be real, mate. As if Israelites didn't translate the scriptures into different languages in the Bible. If they never translated and spoke different versions of the word and didn't know about the words that works of the Lord in different languages in the Bible. Acts 2 happens in the day of Pentecost. So don't try it, man. We don't believe how you sing it, man. Let me get this. Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, right? Because we ain't got the money of the world, right? But what we've got in believing in this doctrine, man, it stayed through the whole time. The doctrine that we believe was still the doctrine that we believed during the lockdown. The doctrine didn't change during the lockdown. The MOTB was still the MOTB. The Edomites were still the Edomites. The Israelites were still the Israelites. The new covenant still stayed as what we say it was. Right? But people in the world were bugging out. When one of the elders from Hawaii, when there was a nuclear scare there, right? He was sitting on his front porch, just bringing out the scriptures, and that moment in time is so heavy, right? That they without his permission, put what he did that day in a movie. They put him in a movie or a documentary, man, and then they changed his voice using some AI, something like that, man. You know what I mean? They put him in a movie, fam. He ended up finding out that they put him in a movie or like a documentary type movie because what he did was heavy that day. Because other people in that same place was bugging out. I remember there was some pretty, like, Moabite looking woman, and she was just doing some makeup tutorial at first, and then when she saw that alert, she ran to her man and was like, babe, there's a scare, as if he's gonna be able to stop the rocket midair if something was to go down, man. But that just shows the fakeness of women as well, man. They're all independent, strong, so-called, until something really goes down, and then all that stuff goes out the window. And now I'm gonna let him lead. Oh man, that's what a lot of women are gonna try and think they're gonna be on when all hell breaks loose in this world. Oh, I could go out and fight everyone myself, because I'm Xena Warrior Princess, but I'm gonna let you lead and be the man that you need to be. I'm gonna let you defend me against all of these people that are trying to unalive me. I'm gonna let you go out and go to the store and fight with all these people that are trying to get the last tins of beans. I'm gonna be a humble female and I'm gonna let you lead. Nah, you ain't gonna let nothing. That's what you don't understand. Y'all ain't letting us do anything, man. Yahawah's giving us the ability to do the things that we're gonna be able to do. You ain't letting us do nothing. I'm gonna let you lead. I can't stand when I hear that term, man. Let you lead. As if it's not men that are letting women do things in this world, man. Men have let you women do things. Because if men decided as a unified unit to all say women ain't doing none of this stuff that they can do no more, none of y'all be able to do any of it. But if men said we're gonna do what we want to do, women couldn't stop them. So it's actually men letting women do things, not women letting men do anything, man. And if women knew and understood this, they would have a lot more of a humble attitude, man. Just like how if men understood that, if the Israelites understood that it was Yahawah letting us be the top nation of the earth, we would have been humble. And Jeshurun wouldn't have waxed fat and kicked. They would have humbled themselves down. They wouldn't have got too carried away. Right? And they would have believed in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. They wouldn't have fell off the deep end, man. They wouldn't have, let me read that in fact. Deuteronomy 32, the Song of Moses. Deuteronomy chapter 32 and I'll go to verse 13. He made him ride on the high places of the earth, that he might eat the increase of the fields, and he made him to suck honey out of the rock, and oil out of the flinty rock, butter of kine, and milk of sheep, with the fat of lambs, and rams of the bread of Bashan, and goats, and the fat of kines, and the fat of kidneys of wheat. And thou didst drink the pure blood of the grape wine, right? But Jeshurun, which is a nickname for Israel, waxed fat and kicked. They got gassed up, right? Thou art waxen fat, thou art grown thick, thou art covered with fatness. Then he forsook Yahawah which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. So they thought, oh man, and that's what women have did to men, right? There's a heavy parallel, man, with how our women treat us and how we've treated Yahawah. But the women have also treated Yahawah that way too, though. And that's what they don't want to acknowledge. And that's also another point that I see a lot of these Christians try and mention, man. They say, oh, when we talk about the slavery, they say, oh, yeah, if you don't do the things that God wants you to do, there's consequences and there's problems. And they try and apply that to what happened to us in slavery. But then they don't want to admit that we're the Israelites, though. But then the Edomites, they also did them evil things that they did to us in the Atlantic slave trade and after. But then nobody ever wants to acknowledge that, okay, the things that they did are going to have consequences too. The things that you did are going to have consequences, man. And they also, everyone likes to always mention, oh, yeah, everyone's been slaves at one point. Everyone's enslaved everyone at one point or another. Okay, so then don't be surprised if it happens to you in the future then. What's the problem? Like, everyone's been in slavery, everyone's this and everyone's that. Okay, so why do you think it's so hard to believe you're going to be a slave in the future then? Since you acknowledge that everyone's did it, so what's so wrong about it happening to you then? Since what you did wasn't bad anyway and you're not embarrassed about that history. So if it happens to you, when it happens, don't cry. Say, oh yeah, this is just part of our civilization process. Just say that. But you're not going to say that though, are you? You're going to be asking Father Abraham to tell Jacob to dip his little pinky finger in some water so that you can have a little drinker first. And Abraham's going to say, nah, fam. Remember when you was having your good times and he was having his bad times. Now it's his time to shine in the sun, and your time to get some darkness, man. Deal with it, man. Now, is he going to say it in those exact words? No. But he's going to say it, though. And that's what Israel did to Yahawah, man. Back on the point, Israel to Yahawah. Once they got up, they treated Yahawah like he ain't nothing, and that's what our women have did to us. That's what the Israelite woman always likes to try and do to the Israelite man. Once she gets so-called independence, what she thinks is independence, right? Then she tries to look at the Israelite man like he ain't nothing. Oh, he ain't nothing. He ain't this and he ain't that. And they start forgetting that the Israelite man helped them. Just like how the Israelites forgot that Yahawah helped us. And it's lucky I've said, like, I keep going in and out of topics, man. But all of it's relevant to the scriptures, man. All of it's relevant to what's going on down there. Because everyone thinks that they can have this doctrine and have this knowledge, but it's a thing that you have to be given, man. And to even believe it is a thing that has to be given. And are there going to be some people that probably was in that high value man thing that might be of the elect? It's possible, right? It's possible because the things that people that are of the elect right now was doing in the world are not things that was necessarily righteous. Anything that somebody came out of the world from doing would not have been righteousness, right? Yahawah chose. Let me get this. Is it John 17 or 15? I think it's 15. Where it says, ye are not of the world, but I've chosen you out of the world. Maybe that's 17. Salakia. That's close enough. John chapter 17 and verse 14, I have given them thy word, and the world have hated them, because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. Right? Because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. But that's not that's not what I'm looking for. This where it says I've chosen them out of the world. Okay, John chapter 15 and verse 19. If you were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. Right? So these people will be like, man, but this person used to be in the world just like me. So why are they now talking like they've got some secretive knowledge, as if everything that Dave did in their past is gone and forgotten? Well, if that person's of the elect, it really is forgotten. And that's what these people don't understand. You remember it, but Yahawah's gonna forgive. Like, that's what the world says, man. And you know what? Let me get that. The world always likes to say, well, in this world, people say forgive, but don't forget in it. That's what people say in this world, man. I just thought about that. People in the world, they say forgive, but don't forget. And that's what women always want to say about men. Forgive, but don't forget, girl. Don't forgive him, but don't forget, sugar. Oh yeah, whatever. That's not righteous. The righteous way is forgive and forget, mate. Because that's what Yahawah's going to do to the Israelites. Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 12. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities will I remember no more. He's going to be merciful to their unrighteousness, meaning he's going to forgive us of it, right? And all the things that we did wrong, he's going to not remember it no more. So when we are in the kingdom and we start being righteous forever, Yahweh is not going to make us remember, like, man, remember that time when you committed adultery, though, whatever the crime might be. I just picked that one out of the thin air because that's a heavy one that technically everyone's did. Like, how I ain't gonna bring up, oh, remember, yeah, you're rich now, but remember when you used to steal, though? He ain't gonna remember none of it. He ain't gonna bring back none of that, our sins, and start talking about them, man. Right? Now that don't mean that we're not gonna remember them. But Yahawah is not gonna remember it. Yahawah is not gonna tell us about that and push it in our face, you know, because we know that the scriptures say that there's gonna be shame and everlasting contempt to those Israelites that ended up not getting it the first go round. They're gonna remember that in this time now they lost, right? And that's why it's stupid when people want to say, "Oh, so you're trying to tell me that if I get it, if I don't get it now, I can get it in the kingdom anyway. So I may as well just get it in the kingdom then. I may as well just do whatever I want to do now and get it." No, that's stupid, because the kingdom is forever. What we're doing now on earth now is really to set in stone the position that we have in the kingdom forever. So the more wicked you've been now, the lower your ranking in the kingdom, which is forever, is going to be. So you wouldn't want to try and do that, because there's going to be Israelites that are going to be born that didn't even exist in the times now. Eventually, they're not going to have ever even existed in this time, and they're going to be have a more honorable position than Israelites that took the MOTB now and got destroyed. But they're not going to have a more honorable position than the elect that survived this time, or that might have fulfilled Revelation 20 and 4, but they did not take the MOTB and they believe in Yahweh Shai. They're going to have the most honorable positions, as well as people that are written in the scriptures that have already fulfilled their works, man. Right? And I'm going to end the video there, man. I just wanted to speak about that for a bit, because there's a lot of people that they desire to have this, but it's not something that you can make yourself have. Right? Yahawah has to make you believe this. And on that, I'm going to say shalom.